All right, everybody, welcome back. Getting ready for another deep dive today. And this time, we're going to be jacking in, plugging in, however you want to say it, to the world of cyberpunk.
Yeah. But we're going deeper than just, the typical image, right? We're going past the
Yeah.
leather trench coats and the neon signs.
Exactly. Think less Blade Runner aesthetic, more like the philosophy underneath it all.
Yeah, getting into like the guts of what this whole cyberpunk thing is really about.
And to help us dissect it, I've got two sources that I found really interesting. One is this article from, get this, LAZERorange Weekly, like a magazine, but very clearly going for that cyberpunk vibe.
Catchy name. Okay, I'm intrigued already.
Right, so that's like our view from the inside. How is cyberpunk styling itself these days?
Got it. So what's source number 2? Got to be some contrast there, right?
Yeah. Totally. It's this blog, actually a really thoughtful one, that's all about how different creators, different artists, they approach cyberpunk in their work. So we'll see if LAZERorange Weekly is like on point or way off.
I'm ready to see how this shakes out. The tension is already building for me.
Right. Okay, so LAZERorange Weekly, they describe their whole fashion thing as being dynamic, vivid, daring, expressive. They even use the word tapestry at one point.
Tapestry. I mean, already that gives me the sense that they see cyberpunk clothing as very active, not just wearing whatever's trendy.
Paul, you know what? That's a good point. Because, like, armor can be a tapestry, right? And they did use the word daring.
Exactly. It's like you're making a statement with what you wear. Almost like armor, like you said, against conformity.
Ooh, armor against conformity. I like that. Write that down, everyone. But, okay, going back to the tapestry thing, because I think they're on to something there. Cyberpunk does pull from all over the place.
Right. Like you see influences from film, from music,
Right.
even from real subcultures that already exist. It's all mashed up in a good way.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if they're, predicting the future of fashion or just reflecting what already is.
Well, and that's the thing. They clearly think they're at the cutting edge, right? Like,
Yeah.
they're the ones shaping where this goes next, not just following along.
Which, I mean, kind of fits with the whole cyberpunk thing, right? Always pushing boundaries, striving for something more, something different.
Very aspirational.
Exactly.
So this whole armor against conformity thing, using your clothes to make a statement, it made me think about that blog post we talked about.
The one that's comparing how different creators tackle cyberpunk.
Yeah, because they made this point about, like, there's always this tension in cyberpunk between utopia and dystopia. Like, is the tech going to save us or ruin us?
Oh, absolutely. It's a classic cyberpunk dilemma, right? On the one hand, you have this optimistic vision. Technology solves all our problems. Everything is sleek and efficient.
Yeah. Picture those giant skyscrapers you always see in cyberpunk art.
Phew.
Super modern, all lit up with crazy lights, like hyper-efficient living. Everyone's connected.
Right, like the ultimate smart city, but on a massive scale.
But then the blog was saying that same tech that's supposed to make everything better, it could also be used to control people, right?
Yeah.
Like no more privacy, corporations running everything.
Exactly. It's the dark side of all that progress, that potential for technology to be used for oppression instead of liberation. And that's something cyberpunk never shies away from, which I think is what makes it so interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like blind optimism or straight up doom and gloom.
It's real, right? Like we see that tension playing out in the world right now. But okay, here's what I thought was cool. This whole utopia dystopia thing. It even shows up in the fashion, which is what LAZERorange Weekly is all about, right? So, like, remember those form-fitting suits with the LEDs we were talking about? To me, that just screams utopian cyberpunk.
Totally. Super high tech,
Yeah.
embracing the future. Like, look how bright and shiny everything is. But then on the dystopian side, you see these clothes that are way more about practicality, stuff that looks worn out, lots of layers, almost like armor.
Makes sense if you're, like, scavenging to survive.
Right.
Not a lot of time for fashion shows and the apocalypse.
Exactly. But here's the thing I find fascinating. Whether it's high-tech, sleek, or rugged and functional, both those styles, they're still about individuality. Like you're pushing back against the norm, whatever that norm happens to be.
Whoa, that's deep. So it's less about what you're wearing, more about what it represents.
Right. It's about holding on to who you are in a world that's trying to tell you who to be, whether that's a world of perfect conformity or a world that's completely fallen apart.
Man, cyberpunk is way deeper than I thought. Thinking about all this, it's not always one or the other, is it? Like perfect utopia or total societal collapse.
Right. And the blog actually talks about that, how most cyberpunk stories, they're not totally utopian or dystopian. It's more like a blend.
Yeah, like they'll have these super advanced technologies, but the world itself is still gritty, falling apart a little.
Exactly. You get that mix of shiny tech and harsh realities,
Mm.
which, when you think about it, is kind of how things are right now, too.
Totally. Like, we've got amazing smartphones, but also climate change, social inequality, all that stuff. Maybe that's what LAZERorange Weekly is getting at with their whole brand. High-tech fashion, but with an edge.
Could be.
Hmm.
That blend is definitely where cyberpunk gets really interesting.
Yep.
It's not just blindly celebrating tech or being totally cynical about it. It's more nuanced, makes you think about the good and the bad at the same time.
Like holding up a mirror, right.
Yeah.
This is us. This is our relationship with technology. We see the potential, but also the risks.
And I think that's why cyberpunk has resonated with so many people for so long. It reflects these real anxieties we have about the future.
Mhm.
It asks those tough questions about what we're creating.
It's like a warning wrapped in a cool leather jacket with like neon pink highlights or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think that's what we can take away from all of this.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk isn't just about the aesthetics, the visuals, those are definitely cool. It's about how we engage with technology and the kind of future we're building with it. So yeah, next time you see some crazy cyberpunk-inspired art or fashion or even just like a news headline about the latest tech, think about where you fall on that spectrum
Yeah.
between hope and fear. Because we all have a say in what the future looks like, and cyberpunk reminds us of that.
Well said. And on that note, we're going to have to jack out, unplug, log off, whatever cyberpunk term you prefer for this deep dive. But keep those questions in mind, folks, because they matter more than ever. Until next time.